And then I can send my tweet because I wrote a tweet. So I think we should be live. Yeah. Hi. Happy Friday.
Oh, hello. Oh, sorry, I have to mute the actual stream because now I'm hearing an echo. Okay. So I should remember this from last week. I have to face this way to
Yeah,
get the
I
track.
was gonna turn my camera, but I'm using the built-in laptop camera, and if I stare at the correct thing, I'm just staring at like a pole. So
Isn't
we're gonna
that
make
fun?
do for episode 2.
Okay, I'll try and cheat. Oh, I mean, we probably should have. Hello, viewers. Hi. We're theoretically live now, right?
Yeah, we're live.
Okay. Hello, and welcome to episode 2 of Meg and Paul Talk. Uzaki-Chan wants to hang out. We've got to come up with a zinging
I
name here.
know we gotta work on branding, but right now we're just
Paul
making the
reacts to Meg
content.
reacts to anime. The show, episode 2.
We watched episodes 2, 3, and 4. I
We
can
did.
see probably just finishing out the anime next time or season.
Yeah.
They're called seasons, not series, right? It's not like British series. Do you know what I'm talking about?
Seasons. We'll call them seasons.
Okay.
Technically, I could get into course, but that's not important.
Okay. So wow. Okay. So I feel like just as a high level, the show did a better job of reeling me in. I was really, really hesitant off the first episode because it was just like boobs. And then I learned about fan service. And then I was like, I don't feel connected to these characters at all in either way, shape, or form. Like, I just feel bad for him. And she's really loud and obnoxious. And then I feel like the next 3 episodes we watched did a much better job of establishing them as characters, and it didn't feel forced as it did in the pilot.
Again, pilots aren't a real thing in anime, kind of. I mean, they're not a real thing. Oh God. I mean, since we're here, we can talk about course. I think it's French, and for whatever reason they use that. But yeah, it's basically how they do seasons, and usually it's like 10 to 14 episodes.
And they call them courses?
Core, Cour, core.
Oh, so like core 1 and core 2.
Well, you can have a full core or a half core. It's not really that important, but like that's only if you're being a total weeb about it. Most people just say season, so that's why I'm like just call it a season.
Okay.
Anyway, yeah. So like this totally establishes my point of you really need 3 episodes to really get a feel for a show. Technically, we've watched 4 at this point, but like after after the 3rd episode, you're like, okay, you get what the show's about, right? Like it's these two.
Yeah, I feel like slice of life didn't feel like it's such a foreign concept because it did feel like they were going and doing things. I mean, notes on all of these, and I'm realizing I
Mhm.
forgot to screenshot something. But yeah, I started to like her and him a little bit more. So it felt like there's actually more story there, but also it kind of felt like it was like there's more story, but it also just feels like it's a series of like vignettes with like no interpretation of time between them and them interacting in weird and awkward and sexual ways, and then there has to be someone who's watching them do this, and in this case the creepy coffee store dad and his daughter who's also in on it, and then when they're not present, the cat's there to make a reaction. And I was like, is that part of this genre that someone has to be there reacting to like the sexual innuendos?
First of all, no, but like, let's get into the fact that you don't like the dad.
I have a lot of screenshots of him and his glasses for a completely different conversation about glasses.
Okay, we can do that too. But why are you like he's creepy?
Okay, so the opening is like, so we're introduced to him in the cafe, right? And which also I thought was kind of funny in the sense of like, oh, is this where lo-fi stuff comes from? I have my first image that I can share. So I took a
Yeah, please.
screenshot of like they like literally kind of repeat the same lines twice of smooth jazz, like nice ambiance and stuff. And then like,
Am I waiting for it to show up? Are you sharing a screen thing?
oh sorry, you can see it on the stream.
Yeah, no, that's okay. I'm like, is there a delay? Okay,
Yeah.
sure. Okay, so
So
you have. I see it now.
so there's that. And then right, like, oh wait, sorry. I actually have an image of him behind. Super creepy. If this wants to load. Why is it not loading? I'm telling you, this computer is a potato. So he's behind the counter, right? And then he's
Yeah.
like, who is this person? I'm just gonna like make voyeuristic things and be like, this is why I love working in service, is because I can basically just like do just like people watch
Oh
all
yeah, that.
day. And then he's
Okay.
looking at Hana and he stands up and because he's like, oh, is she in kindergarten or elementary school? And then like the shot is just like major close up of her boobs, and that's what he's looking at. So yes, I think he's a little creepy. And then he's like very weird, like it's very oddly portrayed as like suddenly the whole goal of him and then his daughters introduced in episode 3 is like get them together any way possible. This is all like like this is our new role in life.
I don't want to disagree with you too strongly because it gets into spoiler territory, but I don't think you're right about that. Uh, um, the part about the shot of her boobs, like, yes, that is a thing that happened. I guess it's implied that he's the one staring at it, maybe. Like, it's hard for me to tell. I guess there's a distinction between, is it a character action or is it like a direction from like the camera, right? Obviously they did the close on boobs, like, this is the joke. Do you get the joke? That part I totally agree with. But I don't recall it being drawn as old man staring at her boobs. Like, that's Master Roshi in Dragon Ball Z. Like, that is pervy old man. Like, they could have made him a pervy old man if they were gonna
Okay,
call him out of the pervy old man.
he just seems like he's like a really also lame matchmaker. I mean, he's like trying to push them along,
He's
but
not.
yeah, he
He's like,
is.
here's these two adorable people. Let me be entertained, right? And like, if he wanted them to like get closer together, he could take a more active role. But he's like I think they literally commented on the show. It's like, oh, we should wait for this to just like stew and simmer.
I mean, also one, I don't understand the Dragon Ball Z reference,
That's fine. It's not for you.
but well, hopefully with the show, it will be at some
Maybe we'll get
point.
there one day.
But so
You'll
with,
understand how pervy anime can be.
I'm like, I feel like it's already there. Like, and he
Oh
does
God,
take an
no.
active role. There's several examples where he's like, oh my God, who's your friend? Here's free tea or I assume it's tea. Or it could be coffee, whatever. Because he just says drink and
Yes,
thirst.
he
And I'm
does give
like,
the.
I'd be, do this. And then she fantasizes in episode 2 that she's like, I want to come to your house. And he's like, why do you want to come to my house? Then fast forward to episode 3 where he's conveniently sick. After he gets wet and
Yeah, we have to
she's
talk about that.
straddling him. And then like she's there and he tipped her off and he's like, how did it go? So he's very much playing an active role. And then they get them to go out for Korean barbecue, the dad and daughter, and are like egging them both along. There's lip
I
So I think he's very much
I
playing an
think
active
there's a
role.
line between he's being nosy and involved versus like he's actively trying to like make something happen, right? Because he'd be like, oh, he took them out to Korean barbecue because he's trying to get them together, or like, does he just want to be involved and see what happens, right? It's more of like using it for personal entertainment rather than like, I'm gonna. I guess like there's a difference in intention between like I'm trying to set these people up versus like I want to see what happens. That's all I'm saying.
Okay.
Versus like, yes, he could be completely disinterested, which he is not. And I guess you can find that creepy, sure.
I thought there was so okay, so there's the dad and the daughter, and we'll come back to them. I also found it interesting that both actually, well, one more comment on both of them is
Sure.
that the opening of episode 2 and episode 3 is parallel with the dad and the daughter both looking at Sakurai and being like, he's like, what are my notes? He's so angry and just like, they had some other word for him and just like, is it because his hair is spiky? I'm like, what makes him necessarily like, I don't know. They were like, he's really gruff. And I have a picture I took or screenshot as well. My God, this
Yeah,
thing.
you're gonna have to help me out here.
Like it just like literally like this was the voiceover of the dad being like, I like him, he's a good worker, except he's like a little like intimidating or like scary. And I'm just like, what about him is like because he has spiky hair?
Um, no, it's his eyes is the thing.
Yeah, because his eyes like
The eyes is a tropey thing that they'll frequently be like, guys have like either dead eyes, like dead fish eyes, or angry eyes, and that's like, oh, people are slightly put off by them. A frequent thing in anime, because they'll all draw them to look relatively the same or like in a certain style. So they'll have to physically describe and be like, oh, of these like 4 girls that look relatively the same, we'll talk about how this one's the most attractive. And you just kind of have to like, I guess, accept it, even though it's not really drawn like they're significantly different in appearance.
yeah, I
Kind
have
of
not
thing.
picked up on that the lead is like cute until like it was even weird for like the daughter to be commenting that Uzaki-Chan is cute, and I'm like, I guess I maybe it's just because I'm
Okay,
not a
she's
dude.
actually cute. I don't know what's wrong with you.
I don't like. I feel like her whole thing we talked about in the first episode. She's like super short, giant boobs, and then like she's got her fang tooth to show that she's trolly. She's not cute, but I'm not like wow.
Okay. I mean, you're entitled to your opinion. You're kind of wrong, but also, you know, you do you.
So, with this episode, right? So, let's talk about what happened. So, she finds out where he works at this coffee shop. You know, the dad shop, coffee shop owner. I don't remember if he has a name. Probably does. He's, you know, getting intrigued. He kind of kicks them out. They go for a walk. And then this is like a random beef of just, again, the passage of time is very poor because suddenly it's like there's not really good interstitials. And then he's like walking down the road and he wants to go pet a cat, in which I wrote down, why does the cat attack? Is he a masochist? Because he's like trying to aggressively pet this cat and it's just scratching the shit out of him. And right, she comes along and helps him, but I was like, why would you keep petting that cat? And why do all the cats look different? They literally all look different.
First of all cats don't look the same. That's racist. Second of all,
That's not racist.
like maybe you've never had a problem petting a cat, but like, yeah, that can happen, right? People can like, I think it happens more with dogs than with cats from what I'm familiar with. But like, yeah, you want to pet an animal and they're not friendly with you. Like that's a thing that happens like to real
But why
people in
would you
real
keep
life.
petting the cat?
Because the cat's cute and you want to pet the cat. I don't, why is that hard to understand? Like to put it in like human context, you can be like, oh, the baby's cute and I'd like to hold the baby, but the baby when it looks at me sees me like and cries, right? Like that's kind of like, right? I don't understand how there can't be a conflict
Okay,
of
that's
interest there.
that's fine. That's a better analogy.
And
Just
the other
because
thing that
I think I'm also like personally terrified of like a cat scratching me because I'm super allergic, and when I have gotten scratched in the past, like
yeah, you just don't, you're not a cat person. Fine.
no, I like cats. I
I
do.
like cats. I'm just don't want to get scratched and I'm allergic. Okay.
Yeah, I don't. When
If you're a cat person, you'll be like, well, I'm allergic, but fuck it, I'll die now. It's fine.
maybe. So I have another image
I
up.
speak from experience.
Okay.
And I'm still not done with the point of you being like, the passage of time is not consistent. Like, this isn't a movie. This is more of like, if you're watching a
Okay,
sitcom, do you get upset between episodes or like scenes that they're like,
okay.
man, I don't know what day of the week it is, and this
No,
bothers me.
that's not the issue at all. It's that there's no
Okay.
consistent film language and how they're choosing to communicate it. So I don't care if it's a sitcom or whatever, the show decides that this is how we're going to show passage of time. And this show does it very inconsistently. So I don't care what the mechanic
You
is.
really
I
have to
just
explain
want
what
there
I'm
to
supposed to
be
be
a
looking for,
mechanic.
because I'm not getting lost. That's what I'm not understanding.
So like I think I finally caught one part where it like there's a shot of this city that's kind of inserted after a segment. I don't remember which episode this was and I should have captured it. But it's just like a shot of a city and then a new scene. Like there's not a lot of breathing room between like their like them getting into stuff. And so episode 3 specifically just felt like very just like crammed together vignettes of them in 3 very different places with like no transition. It's just jarring as a viewer. And I don't know if it's their small tells. I don't know because I'm not as familiar with anime or just it's sloppy.
I think it doesn't matter. That's what I think. You're like, it's jarring and upsetting, and I'm like, is it though? I'm
Yeah, it
confused. You're
is.
like, I opened up my Lunchables and like, there's 3 different things and 3 different slots in the Lunchable, and like I don't. So there's 3 different like skits in an episode. What's wrong? I don't. Why are we confused?
It's not about the skits. It's they're just like I don't know. It's just they don't transition well. Like it's a very poor it's just done poorly. I don't know what else to say. Like there should be
Okay.
glue between the scenes, and there's like barely
Should there
any
be
glue
like
or
a Star Wars
transition.
PowerPoint transition between them? Like, I don't. What are you looking for here? Are you looking for like a time and a day? Like, you have to
So
explain to me
right,
what you're
like let's
looking
talk
for.
about a sitcom where like the laugh track or whatever kind of dies down, the scene fades out a little bit, scene comes back up, like fade in on like city exterior, and then like insert main character walking through an apartment door, right? Like those are like natural film transitions to like help kind of tell the passage of time that has happened and that you are now into a new scene. And in this show feels like it's a run-on sentence.
Okay.
It's just poor filmmaking in that sense. I don't know what else to say.
I was reading the chat about the mouse cursor. I was like borderline gonna be offensive, be like, is the scene transition too fast for you, Meg? Is the jump cut too much? Like, I don't.
No, I'm just telling you from a film perspective, it's done poorly.
But the thing is, this isn't a film. That's why I'm confused.
It's not about a film. This is visual language. It happens in animation. It happens in the medium of which telling a story visually. It doesn't matter the medium. It matters of like how you tell a story visually. You can
Okay.
disagree, but I'm just letting you know
like,
that this
send
is
me
like
the statistics. I want to see the analysis where, like,
it's
according
not
to
a
this survey, this many
statistic.
percentage of viewers find it sloppy when it's done this way instead of that way. Like, you're not making a concrete argument. You're like, I think it would feel better if they had more establishing shots.
I'm telling you, as someone with a film degree, that this is how it's done.
This is how art. Okay, that's a very good argument. Thank you.
I mean, it's like literally like if I was giving you grammatical feedback, this is on that same type of page. There is a grammar and like way that you tend to tell visual stories. You can disagree with me all you want, but like this isn't anything foreign or something that I'm just making up.
Your example is really bad because grammar evolves, and if you talk to a grammar person, they'll be like,
Okay,
yeah,
Paul,
language changes
I'm done
over
with
time.
this topic. You're being a
I'm
butt.
just being honest.
You're being a butt and ignorant.
Okay.
Okay, so anyhow, that's annoying for me. I had also just asked like, and to come back to it, I was wondering like I have like the fourth wall character, which the dad feels like he is. And I don't know if that's like common as well. Like when you have the cat
No.
mugging and then like
It's about as common as Get Out. Oh, sorry, not Get Out. Is Get Out the one? I think Get Out's the one I want.
Um,
Yeah, Get Out, the film, where there's the God, was he a cousin or just a friend? He's like, why are you gonna go there? You're gonna die. The
oh,
audience character. That's not typical in an anime.
okay. I wasn't sure
I
given
wouldn't
the
even call it
fan
fourth
service
wall
thing.
breaking, but yeah.
It's like to have like the cat just gawking like outside the window at like things that are happening inside with like no connection to the characters. That feels very breaking the fourth wall to me. But anyhow,
Sure. Sorry, the cat I'll agree with, and also I strongly dislike the cat. Having a character who is watching the couple and involved with that, like that's
yeah, that's
fine.
less so.
I think
Yeah.
that's believable.
I had also written that down after the second episode, and there was something that the dad said that I like he was it seemed like he was talking to no one except the audience, and I think that's why I wrote that down. But anyhow, so then she gets stuck in the bushes. I wrote down, oh my god, put your ass away, when he like literally openly slaps her ass. And it was at that point we got our first panty shot of the series, which you
Oh
alluded
yeah.
to of not
Well
being
done.
sure if it would be there or not.
Well, usually it's in the first episode. In this case, it wasn't.
Yeah. So this is I didn't have time to put the spreadsheet together on this.
Okay.
But for each episode, I did start a gratuitous boob shot slash like tilt on her, where it's like unnecessarily looking at her, implied sex, panty shot, and then later Sakura chest shot. So I started keeping tabs because I was like, how much do they really do this? So I
A
thought it'd
lot.
be funny to like have a little spreadsheet of it, but
Yeah.
I didn't get time to do that.
Again, unnecessary is a subject of taste. I could deal with a little less of it personally, but I'm just gonna say, obviously, it's in the show for a reason. It's because people want it.
Yeah, it's serving a purpose within this genre, I guess.
Yeah.
But it's like it's not advancing the story, that's for sure.
What do you mean?
It's like we all know she has big boobs.
Okay, you're talking about that shot specifically, or the entire sequence of her being stuck in a bush?
Um oh no, sorry. I mean just like again going to both the dad and daughter being like, "Oh, she's not a child. Look at her fucking chest." Um the I would say the way that like they did the shot with her in the bush and her ass out was appropriate for what it was.
It was. I mean, it's not like for what I'm looking for from the show, which is like, I just want to watch something kind of adorkable and lighthearted with some jokes. I'm like, it's not the most original thing I've ever seen in my life, but I laughed.
Yeah,
That's about all I want from it, really.
that was something that like I had here. Let me go back to images. Um I was aware that a lot of anime exaggerated like I have this shot up with his face is super purple or his eyes, and this is when he was very upset that like he's like my family wouldn't let me have a cat. I'm super sad by that. And this wasn't funny, but I've been surprised, if you will, actually how tasteful it's been and used. Actually, it's been like I thought that this sort of like exaggeration would annoy me and was surprised that it didn't. And there's times I laughed and have actually found it really interesting, like in this case where he completely turns like black and white. And she's like, oh my God, why? And he's just like, kill me now. And I think there's some other examples of this where I'm like, okay, like this is somehow not as obnoxious as I thought it would be. So that,
I'll
yeah.
take it. I'm like, why would it be obnoxious? But I'm like, I guess this is your first time watching anime, but I'm still like, why would you think it would be obnoxious?
Certain styles can overdo it.
I'm like, I'm trying to understand where this perception came from. That like, you're like, man, that anime stuff really overdoes the reactions to things. Am I right? Never having seen an anime.
It's not that I've never seen an
I
anime,
know.
but like, it's something that I'm aware of, like those sorts of things and reactions can happen. And I think when you just see still images for a long time or like different characters, I had no I didn't know what kind of pace and how they would be used or not used. So I've been happy that it doesn't feel like it's like ridiculous. Like it always feels very additive and not like too on the nose.
Yeah.
All right, so episode 2 overall, I felt like they did a better job of establishing the characters I'd written, and it feels less forced, and it kind of feels like there's more of a back and forth. Then we get into episode 3.
Wait, I want to add a tidbit for you. You won't get this, but for me, episode 2, if I recall my watching of it, was like just more of Gabrielle Dropout reminiscent stuff, because there's also a cafe in that with an old man working at the cafe. His role is very different because it's a different anime, but he's like, oh yeah, like I care a lot about my cafe or whatever. And I'm like, oh man, reminds me of that show. And then also, did the sickness ice water happen in 2 or 3?
3.
3.
Because
Okay.
in 2, she comes, and I think at the end of 2, she wants help with her homework, and while they're doing it, she's like, oh my god, I should come see where you live, and blah blah blah. And he's like, yeah, right. And so then in the beginning, she comes and like they're talking about video games, which actually had a question of like, is a girl character being into video games also kind of fans, or like is that common, or like where does that stack in like normal anime girl characters?
I'm conflicted on how to answer this one. Are you saying it's unrealistic for a girl to be into video games? Did
Not at
everyone get the
all.
clip of that? Is
No.
that have people screenshotted that, or sorry, clip that statement? I don't know how to answer that question. Is it unusual? Maybe. Like, as unusual it is in real life,
Let me
but like
rephrase
also
it.
that's kind
Is
of the point of the show, I
is her
guess.
being extra into video games playing into the persona of like the overall picture of the fan service that's going on?
Okay, see, this is where I have to be like drawing a line again. Fan service. Like, there's a difference between.
Like she's the ideal girl. She's cute. She's
We're not gonna say ideal girl because that's unreasonable. But like, it's the difference with like fan service and like wish fulfillment are, in my mind, two different things. And like, yeah, a large part of this anime is to kind of be a not tropey. We had this conversation off camera. How she's sort of like a manic pixie dream girl kind of thing going on. But yeah, like she's trying to hit a lot of boxes that people would be into. But the fact that that's her interest, I don't think is fan service.
okay.
Like the
That
fan service is her. Sorry, I'm skipping ahead, but the scene happened. Her in the shower. That's fan
okay.
service.
Okay. No, I appreciate her being into video games. Like that is very real to my life. So, but I typically don't see that represented in media and stuff. So it was nice to see, but I just wasn't sure kind of where it fell in being normal or anormal, or it's not even like, it's just a thing. It's whatever. Does that make sense?
I mean, sure. I will say that because of the demographic anime serves, there are more girls into video games because there are more characters into video games. Is that fair?
Yeah, it is.
Because like if you're like, well, yeah, I could act into video games, but then also like a large majority of characters in anime are into video games, like period, kind of. So, and it's also sort of like for the story they're telling about these two characters, the fact that they have a common interest and that it is video games is kind of like fitting, sort of.
Yeah, no, I think it's cute.
Oh, sure, but I mean like for the character that the guy is, like, I don't know what other type of loner activities you would have that they'd both be into that would like work for what the story is.
That makes sense.
Like if he was really into playing like soccer or like a team sport or something, like he wouldn't by definition be like that, right? Like that's
Yeah.
par for the
He
course.
used to swim. He doesn't now. My notes for
Also, swimming is a solo sport, kind of,
it
unless you're doing
is.
relay, I guess. But
Um. All right. So, oh, I wrote down Arthur Fish Shot because when we're first introduced to the daughter, she they totally copied that shot that's like that meme of like Arthur having his hand in a fist next to his like leg and just doing the close up of the fist. I think she was mad when like other girls were flirting with Sakurai. And that was also weird. It seemed like it was opening up on her having a crush on him, and then Uzaki-Chan came into the picture and it seemed like it completely went away. I also thought it was really funny. I wrote down baby animal vibe equals short, where she's like, oh, of course, like, look at how cute she is. Like, she's short, so she's like a baby animal. And I was like, I guess that's like an attractive trait. I'm very confused by this. And then, right, like, we get the first shots of like Sakurai with like a shirt off and muscles. So like that's another question. Is it like fair, is it equal screen time typically between male and female? Because there's certainly an interesting nude shot with him that I took a screenshot of. Or is that just like,
okay,
I mean, the cat was there. I don't know how I was gonna not take that screenshot.
that's fine. It is getting better. If you go back in time, there's definitely fewer male like fan servicey things. I would say this is sort of a male fan service thing. It's still weird to me because there's still like if, I don't know if we want to spend time getting into it, but like how it's depicted kind of thing. Like having a male character being like shirtless is not necessarily the same as a female character because more of like the posing and styling and all that.
Sure.
Yeah.
But yeah, other quotes I wrote, drama with a side of rice as the daughter and dad are like scooping down rice down their throats while like the two main
Yeah.
characters are bickering. Um yeah, it was sweet she took care of him. Like I thought that was also like a good evolution. It's always like you build feelings for someone when someone's willing to take care of you when you're vulnerable and stuff. So,
Yeah. This is classic anime territory, by the way.
oh, is
The
it?
trope the trope is any exposure to water that is not immediately treated with like a shower or something, the character gets sick. Without fail in anime, it's like, oh, you spilled water on me, or I got caught in the rain without an umbrella. Like I will immediately get sick, like right after. I don't know
That's
if it's a
very
weird superstition
upsetting
thing. Why is it upsetting?
because it's not true.
I mean, sure. I'm sure it was based on a nugget of wisdom at some point in time to be like, if you like it gets cold at night or something, and if you're moist, like you'll get sick. I don't know. So that's a thing. Going over to someone's house to take care of them is like a frequent thing that happens, especially in like slice of life or high school or whatever anime. The leak is a frequent thing. I don't think Japanese people always get like a leak for sickness, but it's a frequent anime trope. Yeah.
By the way, we're
There was
half
another one
out.
in there that I'm forgetting. Oh
She
yeah.
made.
Do you really want to make this? Okay, sure.
I
Whatever.
bought
Let's
it.
do it.
We're doing it. Sake time. Paul has instituted a rule in which I can't drink until the first half hour of us talking is done.
Yes. For whatever reason, Meg wants to make sake happen. Oops.
It's more
And
fun. It's
I
Friday
was-
night.
I get it. I get it. So the thing for me is I feel like from all the anime I watch, they don't really drink that much sake. If
Oh,
anything,
right.
they
We were
drink
going to talk
beer.
about this.
Like they're much more Sapporo drinkers, in my experience. Oh geez, this is just like a can. This is just a can of sake. Okay. It's like you can enjoy it, and I'll pour it in a cup because I'm not a barbarian.
Yeah, I
mean,
have a little
but-
sake cup that I threw mine in. I just like sake. I think that's actually
Fine.
more the deal.
Sure.
Sapporo's pretty good. I could do that next time, next ep.
Oh no, I'm just saying that's more anime. For whatever reason. Well, not for whatever reason. It's because like you get home from work and you have a beer. You don't have sake, unless you're really classy, I guess.
Fair. Yeah. I'm like unfiltered sake. I know I like it.
Yeah.
So let's talk about these glasses.
What about them? Show me a screenshot. I'm gonna have to see what you're getting
I have a
upset
lot
about.
it's not that I'm even getting upset. I'm just trying to understand the appropriate usage of when glasses are opaque and when they're clear, because they're used like
Oh.
his glasses have like a bunch of different things that they've done in this show. So like the first one will go back to the beginning where they're glowing. And it's like okay, like I is it so I kind of just started to ascribe it to how eyebrows are animated in a lot of stuff, like I think more in Western films where you get that really just like it adds to what the rest of the face is doing on screen. And that's kind of felt like what the glasses were doing. So he's like really energized, looking here. Then at one point he like also gets on, like he talks to his daughter about like, why did you not, or like, hey, you need to do this. It was hard to screen capture, but the like opaqueness like flashed across his glasses where it was like, I'm gonna add a little emphasis of like, you better not get lost in your work, Missy. And
What?
then
Yeah.
there was there's a scene where they're coming
It's
back, and I
folder.
found it interesting where the beginning of the monologue is more internal for him and the glasses are opaque, and then he says
Mm-hmm.
something about like changing to be more present, and then suddenly you can see his eyes. Like you don't typically actually see his eyes, you see the daughter's eyes more in the glasses. And then there's points too where like his are opaque, hers are clear. That was kind of interesting. And then there's also like this was in the restaurant. I forget why they were what they were angry about. But they're both opaque and then they both look grumpy. So I think if anything, this was just like an interesting like exploration for me. It's just like this is another way that they're telling the story of just like what's happening and how they emphasize characters. But to me, my guess would be this is somewhat of a trope, but I don't know if it's just literally like if the guy's internal and trying to be in a background,
It's
it's
not a
opaque
trope.
glasses. Okay.
It's I mean, I know what you're trying to say, but I would not call it a trope. It's just part of visual language.
Well, I was gonna say that, but got salty about
Well,
that
you said
word.
trope. You didn't say visual language.
Well, but I also didn't know if it was like used a lot or to represent like a specific character type as well.
Uh, I mean, glasses can be certain character types, but I think not being able to see the eyes is either like a stern and or cool kind of effect, sort of. Yeah.
Yeah, it's interesting how it like would go in and out. But so I took a lot of pictures about the glasses.
Well, yeah, because they're using it for emphasis. I mean, it's interesting that you got hung up on that.
Not hung up. This is just studying and learning,
Oh, like
right?
yeah, you're like you dialed in on it. What idiom do you want me to use here?
Yeah, dialed in sounds good.
Yeah. I don't know. You're like, man, some shit's happening with animation in these classes. Let's talk about it. I'm like, okay. Like
This
for
is
me, who's watched a lot of anime, it doesn't even register, right? Like, and yeah,
this
like
is what film
I'm
school
sure I
is like.
noticed the effect of it, but also I'm not like, oh man, that character has glasses that does stuff. I'm like, yeah, okay, like it's the character. I get it. Like
Yeah,
that's in my
he
head.
was very clear what he was feeling and what how they animated the glasses to enunciate emotions or the scene. So it was done very well. So yeah, I those were kind of my notes, and just that I thought it was sweet she took care of him and that it just built more closeness. Also, There were 3 boob
Classic.
shots, 1 sexual innuendo, no panty shots, and 2 Sakura chest shots.
Okay, cool. Oh.
All right. Anything else you want to say about episode 3?
No, I mean, so like this was the watermark, right? So initially in our discussion in chat, feel free to chime in. There's the back and forth about like, oh, I feel like you should get a feel for the show based on 1 episode, and I'm like, you probably want to watch like 3 episodes to really get a feel of what a show is trying to be. And I feel like it's now's like the point where we discuss who was sort of right about that. Like, again, I'm not saying that you can't infer anything from the first episode. You can infer like like I feel like generally in the first episode they're mostly just establishing the characters and they're like one-off traits of like loner guy with like an angry face and like short girl with big boobs and like is kind of trolly, right? And by the 3rd episode you have a flow of what the show is going to be.
So
Is kind
you're
of my
not
statement.
wrong, but I still like to digest the pilot on its own, right?
Sure.
Like, just like I said, like I
I'll agree
like
with
to
that.
digest the first 15, 20 minutes of a film. And it's still like, okay, this is delivering on the promise of, right? Like, I guess, like, they're going to slowly get together. There's tension between them. I don't think anything that we learned in the pilot is not true. It's just, it's more rough because the footing has not been found. But I do think it did achieve in setting the foundation for what we're now watching. We just now get to see it shaded in better and with smoother edges.
A better way of me saying it might be like by the 3rd episode, I feel like you're well within your right to write off a show. And I'm going to say that because there's lots of anime that people will be on like season 2 or 3 or 4 and be like, oh my God, this is the best show ever. You have to watch it. And you'd be like, I don't know. Like, I tried watching season 1 and didn't get very far. I'm like, yeah, well, the first season sucks, but like, whatever. You need it for the story. So just slog through the first season and then like it totally gets better. It'll be worth it. And like, that is, I guess, where I'm sort of torn. Where like I can write off like the first episode of a show being bad, but like if you're not enjoying it by the 3rd episode, like you probably should just stop.
That's not
Don't force
unique
yourself
to
just because
anime,
it's
though.
popular. It's not unique to anime, but I also don't think there are as many. I guess it's more common now. I don't think there's as many episodic season-long shows for it to happen in a way that matters. Like there are many shows that are multiple seasons, but not like you need to know the history and watch all the episodes prior to really get what's going on.
I
Like you could be
mean,
like, watch the latest season of South Park. It's great. And I can be like, okay, I'll go do that, right? I don't have to watch the first however many seasons
so
to
that
really get
was
what's going
my
on.
struggle with Deep Space Nine. Was I had so many friends say this gets better later in the series. The back half of the series is really good. The guy who was like showrunner or head writer or whatever went on to do Battlestar Galactica. You got to suffer through the first like 3 seasons. And so it took
And I'd
me
be like, fuck that.
it took me 3 attempts to do it. And then the only reason I finally made it through was because
Did it feel worth it?
it did in the end. It did, but the
Is
reason
that Stockholm syndrome? Because I think it's Stockholm.
No,
syndrome.
I
don't
had
know
a
if I
friend
believe
who's
you.
like the biggest Star Trek nerd I've ever met, and he's a walking encyclopedia of Next Gen and Deep Space Nine. And he also gave me some like TV history with it, which also then like piques kind of that side of my brain of not just what the show is
Okay.
giving me, but like contextually how it was fitting into like it was the first like Next Gen and the original series were all like per episode. There was no overarching stories unless you had a 2-parter. And Deep Space Nine was the first one that was like, this is technically an 8-part episode, but we've stopped even labeling it 8 parts. So it went from episodic to, I'm like totally blanking on the term right now.
Okay.
And so that gave me a lot of interest, and then like the show also picked up. But like there's a lot of shows, and Star Trek's probably the best example, where they just don't find their footing till the 3rd season. That's just how it is. So I guess for me, this whole concept of like anime is somehow more unique to that shows try to find their footing, and like it might take a couple seasons. I don't, that doesn't seem foreign or anime exclusive to me.
You're conflating my statements, and I don't
Okay.
appreciate it.
Okay.
Because I said this is a thing that happens a lot in anime, and you went, it happens in the next generation too, and I'm like, you're not wrong. I'm saying it's more common in anime because a lot of anime is episodic.
Well, you said
Not
it
that
was more
non-anime
recent
is
and it
not
doesn't
episodic.
happen as it sounded like to me you were saying it's a more recent phenomenon and more tied to anime than it is other
Because
TV that's
anime's been
out
doing it
there.
longer. That's true. I feel like
How has anime been doing it
with the
longer?
advent, because like the entire time the anime's been a thing, it's been episodic.
So since
Like
like the
Dragon Ball Z is
80s or
episodic,
like
okay? And
what
Dragon Ball Z's been around for 30 years.
what decade are we starting with here?
God. Okay.
Um I'm
Like
just
the
glad.
reason why I'm making this statement is because I feel like how shows have presented themselves has pivoted with the advent of Netflix and being able to binge watch shows. And now there's more of a catering towards making seasons bingeable and having longer character arcs because the expectation is that people will be able to consume it that way. I feel like that is a more modern thing that was not the case 20 or 30 years ago in TV,
I
where a lot
mean,
more shows were trying to be standalone.
yes and no, right. So like you had things so I wouldn't pin it on Netflix. Um I'm
Okay.
trying to like go through catalog of like shows from the 90s I'm aware of. There's like some stuff like like the X-Men kids cartoon certainly like had built upon itself. And then like right there's mini series, but those weren't season after season. So by modern you're defining what from like 2005 on or what?
I'm talking about trends.
Yeah.
It doesn't really matter. Pick any timeline you want. Because like again, you're like, well, there was this show, and I'm like, I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about like the percentage of shows that are episodic versus non-episodic is increasing over time. That's my statement.
Sure. Okay.
Okay. And what I'm saying is anime has been episodic for a long period of time, and a lot of that comes from the fact that it's frequently just adaptions of manga or other media rather than being like, we're gonna make a show,
Okay,
let's come up
fair.
with what happened.
Yeah.
Like Gilligan's Island was not episodic,
No,
okay?
it's not. It's not. Like and that's like right, like I'm sitting here trying to recall different shows I've watched in different decades and yeah, all right. I feel like it's a fair point.
Yeah, I know.
I'm still right about the shitty transitions though.
Oh my god. Okay. Well, chat didn't agree with you, but we can come back to that later.
About what film language is and like how you do a proper
No, it wasn't
transition.
about film language. It's about it being necessarily better. It's like the argument of do laugh tracks make it better or worse?
I disagree.
What do you mean?
I mean, each scene should be setting up its own tone and what's happening. And when it's like boom, 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 and there's not enough of a reset, you just suddenly see the same two
Like
characters in
to
a
put it
different.
another way, this is like arguing over whether Michael Bay style of cinema and like
No,
quick cuts is good. And the thing is,
disagree.
people keep watching Michael Bay. So even if you say that it's bad film, it doesn't matter because people keep watching it. They clearly like it.
That's not a correlation. It may not be that they like it and maybe they tolerate it or it just is. I wouldn't say it's they like it. I think that's a stretch.
Wow. Okay. He keeps getting movies. I don't know what to tell you.
That's like editing. Okay, jump cuts within a scene is far different.
Side, even if it's uncultured and non film school.
Uh-oh. YouTube is not receiving enough video to maintain smooth streaming.
Ruh-roh.
Probably because I've had like Chrome. Oh, apparently it lagged for everyone. Fucking Elgato sound capture tray is always like, I will launch myself, and then you can't use me. I can close Blizzard. Not on my normal computer, people. On a travel computer.
Yeah, we should have done that as part of the intro. Be like, wow.
Oh yeah, we were supposed to put a Nightbot or something. CPU usage is 100%. Why though? What is... Yeah, oh, it's XSplit. Why does XSplit have 8 instances? Whatever. Okay. Hopefully this... Alright, Ken. You're so salty.
What?
You're so salty.
That's why I'm here.
Although I will say for episode 4 count, it really blew the there was 7 full boob shots. Sakurai plus Carol cat on groin exclamation point. Implied sex 4 times, no panty shot. We only got the 1 panty shot. I did appreciate when Sakurai was like, video games are more my speed. Oh, I meant to relook up Golden Week, which I'm semi-aware of because of...
Containing a number of Japanese holidays. It is also known as Ogata Renkyu. Renkyu? Sorry, I just butchered that. 9 official holidays. Wow, that's a lot of holidays.
The I did take some screenshots of Catcraft. I think that's what they called it.
Yeah. Are you gonna be like, is Catcraft a trope?
No, I know it's not a freaking trope, but I did really like the shots they had. Like, why does he have a chainsaw? And
this, right? They have to think about everything they're putting in the show. Like, they're gonna have fun with it.
Yeah, no, I know. And then the cats just have X's over their eyes, which I don't know if it means they're happy or whatever. Oh, speaking of eyes, I also screenshotted one for the audience, since you already know this. I couldn't remember what Funimation was because I watched it through my... It made way more sense to me, but turns out it is a website just for fans and ceiling fans and stuff. And then I appreciate... So the Funimation had this anime thing face with the sweat marks, which I appreciated. And then that mouth, is that the OWO or...
A woo.
It's a woo and a woe, is that right?
It's a woo and a woe. Jesus.
Because I like saying ooh instead.
No.
In OEO.
Is it a meme? Is that one of those memes?
I don't say that. I call it a meme.
You're gonna say GIF now too?
No.
Okay.
Yeah, so let's go through other pictures I took. So
also, I don't know why Funimation is confusing.
So I explained in chat.
Imation.
There's fandom, and that's a right, you know what fandom is, right?
No, Meg. Please.
The website, not. Anyhow, I thought this was the first time I was like, oh, she looks cute and adorable, but of course she has now white wet shirts.
This was the first time you're like, she looks cute. Okay.
Her eyes are fun. Although, well, no, I liked when she was angry and she had angry eyebrows through her hair. This also cracked me up. I just also started taking screenshots of things that I thought were funny or cute.
Yeah, you're getting it. Anime is about being funny and cute. You're getting there.
Okay.
We're learning.
Right, I really like the one of him being black and white. I took one of a B shot. I don't want to talk to you about it because it was a dumb B shot.
No, go ahead. Tell me. What's wrong? So tell me about the B shot.
This was excessively too long on her feet in wet groceries, as they argued. Why do I want to stare at her feet in wet groceries?
Wait, what? You mean the shot of her at the door, wet in groceries?
No, look at the screen.
Okay. Yeah, and?
It just held too long, in my opinion. That's all. Like, it wasn't interesting. I'm like, I don't give a shit about her feet in the grocery bags while they, like, argue.
Okay.
I would have cut it or changed it. It wasn't the establishing shot, Sean. The shot I showed before was...
Establishing shot. Feed pic fan service. Good one.
That honestly was my whole thing. I was like, maybe it is some... I hate feet. Like, I fucking hate feet. Whatever the fan...
right.
hate feet.
Okay, it is both a thing. I mean, you know, you've been on the internet. Feet is a thing that people are
I
very
know.
into and is a joke. Yeah, okay, you get it. Cool.
I did kind of like the version of Pokemon Go.
Yeah. Hold on. We need to come back to the whole the shot was too long thing. Like, the thing that I don't know, because it's been a while since I watched the anime about anime production that I told you to watch that you never really watched. But the thing you have to I don't know for certain is how runtimes work, because you're like, I would have edited or cut that shot, and I'm like, they have to fill a certain amount of time, and I don't know how that process works.
So
there's definitely, like, they'll add, like, nonsense somewhere, either at the beginning or whatever, and you're like, is this here because it's important, or is this here because, like, well, they needed to fill this amount of time and, like, they had 30 seconds to kill?
Okay, to people defending the foot shot and being like, it's establishing, no, this is the better establishing shot when she's holding the umbrella and in the rain, and you still get those same vibes without just staring at her feet.
Doesn't it start at her feet and pan up?
No. This is her at the store, and then she's there, and then it pans down to her feet, and it holds for like a weird amount of time. But you raise a good point that it is completely possible that some of these B shots that I find really weird could have been dialogue changes that they changed for flow, and they didn't want to reanimate it because who know what the budget is, and so they're like, fucking throw this in, or we'll do a still on this.
There's also, like, a sequence of, because they outsource a lot of the animation, so it's like,
Yeah.
this how when things come in, like, they might have to be like, okay, well, this is what we have to work with right now.
Yeah.
And we're still waiting on that. So yeah, like, that is a thing that happens.
Yes, I have many friends.
And it's showing
who
that her, like,
animate.
she's soaked through to her shoe. I don't know.
Yeah, I get it. I just think
I don't know. Like, having a wet shirt is easy. Having wet shoes is like, oh, you're fucked.
yeah, no one likes wet shoes.
like when your shoes are wet and, like, your socks are somehow wet, you're like, oh, okay, like, something is wrong. Either there's holes in my shoes or I was an idiot. But yeah, back on topic.
They're fictional Pokemon Go.
Oh wait, no, I was gonna say the shower scene today is, I'm like, I think I just tuned this out, like ads on a web page at this point. But also now I can introduce you to the term boob-ray.
Boob-ray. Okay, go on.
Because there are looter anime for sure, but, like, you got the whole, like, we're like, oh man, I'm gonna wait for the boob-ray because then you get to actually see the boobs on the Blu-ray.
Got
it's
it.
uncensored.
Okay, all right.
Yeah, so be on the lookout for that term.
Is there Dick Ray then? I mean, let's just go to that shot.
Again, this is where it's like, it's not quite that level of equality yet. There's probably certain series where there is Dick
Ew,
Ray,
spider! Hold on.
but
Die.
okay, I'm on hold.
What are you? We can talk now. Alright. Why is the cat also making the same pose? And why is it that cat?
I don't know why. I mean, I can guess why. Hold on, let me look up what the covers of the
I think
actual
we're
manga look
lagging
like.
right now.
Yeah, I know. You figure that out while I look up something.
I mean, I think it's...
Oh, this is just... I was not looking for this.
What did you search?
Be careful what you image search of this show, because you might get a lot of tasteful images show up. I'm gonna assume that the cat was in the manga because the manga artist enjoys the cat or drawing the cat. So that's why there's a cat. I don't really know if that's the actual reason. It could also just be someone at the production studio likes the cat. Like they're deciding that like this is gonna be gag in the show because I like it, so it's there. That's all I got.
Um, honestly, I was impressed the way that they handled this.
What do
It
you
was
mean?
so, I mean, right, like, okay, again, let's go back to the reality in which I have big boobs and sometimes we have to lean against people. So that whole scene was uncomfortable and weird for me for
Oh, we're
different
on the train scene.
reasons.
Sorry, yeah,
Yeah, train
I'm
scene.
waiting for it to catch up. Got it. Train
And
scene.
it happens, whatever, but typically, again, like there's hunching, or you move yourself, or you cover your boobs, so you're not just like. But again, I understand the show is like doing that for a certain reason. Also, they make no comment of the gorilla that just shows up behind him. That's the gorilla from his game. Like they just don't mention him. He's just in the background pushing them together. Um, but it was funny, the choices that were made of how he was trying to calm himself down. Like I think about like Austin Powers comes to mind first, where he's like,
Oh my
Margaret
god.
Thatcher on a cold night, Margaret Thatcher on a cold night. Or just like, I feel like American, like, calm your shit down is like very different. And this guy, he like cuts to like a beautiful sky and a field, and then there's like random fiddle music. And I'm like, why is this like, this seems also pleasant. I don't know that it would like actually aid you in not feeling good. And then obviously it's like, oh my god, all my other senses, I got my eyes closed, I'm thinking about other things, so all my other senses are like on high alert. And then just like it just was so unexpected to see this like tilt shot of like it goes by so quickly of like the cat screaming out of his groin and then cutting up to him effectively making the same face and pose. I just was like, what is this? Um so it just was interesting. I don't even feel like it's like this is like it's now par for the show. I wasn't expecting it. I thought it would just all be about her and her sexuality. So it just, yeah, it went there and it went there with the cat. And yeah, I'm still kind of taking that
Uh,
in.
so you're like, why did it go to serene and tranquil when he was trying to calm down?
Yeah.
Okay. Why is that confusing? I mean, so I could be like Zen Buddhism and Shintoism and like Japan, and you've been to Japan, right?
Yeah.
Like, it's different, I'll give you that, but it seems very Japanese for being like, I want to like, you know, calm down and like feng shui or Zen or like whatever. And you're like, why would
Sure.
it go to a... And
It
I'm
was
like,
like an interesting, it's one of those just like cultural differences. I was like, okay, all
okay.
right, this is how they do it. Got it. And then it didn't work. So poor guy anyway.
I mean, he tried. The gorilla thing, I mean, it's very unclear to me whether the implication is that he is supposed to be portrayed as a gorilla by comparison to her being like a cute cat girl, kind of, based on the Pokemon Go stuff. I mean, he's definitely tall and somewhat muscular, so that is the way it seems. But then, like, there's actual gorilla. Like, if we were gonna talk about like, oh God, what's the anime? My Love Story.
Sure. I don't know.
Like, that's a very good anime, but the guy is like literally a gorilla of a man, and like that's the premise of that show. It's very cute. But yeah, the premise is that the main character guy is like literally uh, a gorilla of a man. Yeah.
Oh, I did take a screenshot of it. I was like, I thought I took a screenshot of the gorilla. Although it's just like him standing, boobs pressed up against them.
No, because she. Yeah, we're not. Our is the audio getting through at least? Can you?
I don't know what to do. Like,
Are you not on Are you on Wi-Fi?
yeah, that's my only option.
Oh, we shouldn't have done the show then. Why are you using Wi-Fi? Murder everyone else in your Wi-Fi region
I
and
just
cancel
think
all the signal out.
Chrome is being a pain in the ass.
I don't know why you think it's Chrome instead of your connection to the internet and your
Because
upload
I have
speed.
a decent. Here.
Why don't you stream a Google speed test literally right now?
Yep, we're doing it.
Okay.
Um. Okay, yeah, it's a little slower right now. Maybe it does need to be reset, but obviously not right now. Let me close this regardless. I'm just gonna. I think we've gone through all the images, so I'm just gonna close this window. Yeah, I'm at 80 down and 3.4 up. Good times. Yeah. So,
Are you at least recording the VODs so that we can upload the proper to the arc?
oh yeah, I could do that. I'm just looking through the rest of my notes.
Wait, we were still talking about something. I forget what, but we were talking
The train
about
scene. What
the
chat
train
meant
scene.
by
Oh
I've
yeah, we're still waiting to
been.
find out what Soonerator meant about a train scene.
Well, no,
So I mean,
Trevor
it's.
said it too.
Oh, did he?
Yeah, I want to say every guy has been in a train scenario at some point in their life, and Trevor also said train scene scenario have been in a few times.
I have not been in enough areas with crowded trains for that to be relevant, but I could believe it. It's definitely like you're familiar with Japan and it being
Yeah,
a problem there, right?
yeah,
With
and
like
that the point where
molestation
they
on Japanese
have
trains.
like
Yeah.
women only trains. Yeah,
Yeah, okay. So like clearly it's an issue in Japan. America has such a bad train system. Like the number of times I've had an opportunity for the train to be relevant is not. Yeah.
it's like if no, I've only used it on the East Coast.
Like I ride the train in the Bay Area. It's just that like it never gets that crowded, as far as I know or am concerned. But yeah. Yeah, New York trains get packed. That's
Chat's
true.
still not explaining, so we'll get it out of them at some point.
I think they did mean actual trains. It's just like, yeah. And it's a sweet thing to happen. Yeah, I thought you were gonna go with like a wall slam. Are you familiar with wall slam as a concept?
No, baby, no, I don't know.
Okay. I mean, maybe we'll get to a point where we'll see a real wall slam, but she makes that comparison, but you don't have a point of reference for that. I'm like, is it spoilers for me to tell you now? I mean, I can probably tell you, you might not even remember. But like a wall slam is like literally like I'm going to ask a girl out and I like slam the wall. Well, I get it. I fabricate a scenario where she's up against a wall and I slam the wall behind her to like intimidate her almost and then ask her out or something. I don't know. I'm explaining this very poorly.
I mean, this is in high school teen movies and TV, right? Of like someone's hanging out at their locker and they come through and close the locker door next to the girl who's standing there with the books in her arms and is like, hey, you know. Is that not the same thing?
Similar but not the same. Like literally wall slam is I have you sort of pinned against the wall, sort of. Like there's no physical contact necessarily directly,
Okay.
but like you sort of can't escape me and I just slammed the wall. And the idea is like somehow the intimidation, but also it's romantic enough that like you'll agree to going out with me. Yeah. Oh, apparently there's a good TikTok on wall slam, so we can look that up later. But anyway, she is like, oh wow, we're really close, and this feels like a wall slam scenario where he's just trying to be like, I'm not gonna think about your boobs.
Yeah, fair. I can see that.
Yeah.
Man, my computer is really grumpy. It is spinning
I
up.
feel like I can hear the fan.
Yeah, no, you probably can because this is why I call this computer a potato.
Okay.
So one other note I have is when they did the hypnosis and he was faking it, and then when she was really angry, I just thought it was funny that like she turned away from him in a huff, but instead of like her face articulating that she was unhappy in addition to turning away from him, they instead just had like the boobs like
Yeah, exactly.
um yeah, so yeah, I think that was so what did I rate? Oh, I also wrote down sometimes the show has like oddly really astute and smart points. The two that to me came out, one was in episode 2 and one was in episode 4. Episode 2 was when Uzuki-Chan, which is good advice for any pet, is you allow them to see your
Uzaki.
what?
You said Uzuki.
Oh, sorry.
Uzaki.
Hana, when she's like, hey, don't just stick your hand in a cat's face, which is good advice as well for dogs. You should like put out your hand, do it from below so they can clearly see it, and let the animal come to you if they're interested. And I was like, wow, that's like random but also very true. And also when she was
Random how?
like just that like Hana goes off kind of on these mini rants of just like, because she also did one about the curry as well, which she's like, you gotta stick it in the refrigerator. It's like, I heard that it tastes better the next day. And she's like, yes, it is, because the umami and all the oils like soak into the meats and the vegetables and it becomes much better. And da da da. It was just like a random string of just like, okay, yeah, cool. Like it's just, it's a quirk of her character that I've now seen twice and enjoy.
Do you like mint chocolate?
Yeah.
Okay.
Is that a thing?
Also,
What?
like this is what I like about anime though, because like it doesn't need to be all action all the time. It can just have like stuff. And
Yeah.
like, oh, that's nice. And like that's one of the things I like about the show, because it has like random stuff, it has some gags, it has like decently nice character moments. This is not a show that I would be like, this is award winning and I'm gonna scream it from the mountaintops that everyone should watch. But also like when the season came up and I saw the lineup of shows, like this is higher on the list because I'm like, it's an enjoyable show. I enjoy watching the show for 20 minutes every week. And like, yeah, that's
Yeah. No, I think, I mean, so for everything we've discussed and now seeing 4 episodes, like, it's like, okay, not my preference to watch kind of this like fan servicey leaning thing, but when you cut that out and cut out like the gratuitous shots, I think it's cute. Like, it's enjoyable. And in like, I've one beef with it, which I've expressed, and well, and then just like not a preference for the other thing, but then it's cute. Like I believe them more
which
as
thing was your
liking each
beef?
other.
Was it the glasses, the cuts, or the fan service?
I mean, the fan service does nothing for me, and then just like again, like it's hard to like. I do not like their way of transitioning between time. I'm like, has it been a week? Has it been a month? Is it the next 5 minutes? I don't know.
Okay.
So it just all seems sandwiched in there, and it's like, okay, I guess that's just how it's gonna be done
It's
in
a
the show.
commentary on the passage of time as a college student in which everything blurs together.
Okay. All right. Yeah, why did you ask me about mint chocolate?
Don't worry about it.
Oh, okay. Um, yeah, so those are my notes, and those were the pictures I took. Hopefully the pictures added to it. It's just, but yeah, I would say my exploration of this stuff is a little film schooly. It's a little like, oh, this is kind of neat and cute, and a little like, why is this?
Why is this? So, I mean, that sort of leads us into the next question of like, would you finish watching the show or would you watch more of the show?
Now, given what we're doing in the exercise, I want to finish it out. But it's not a show I would savor, if that makes sense. I find
No, it
it
doesn't. You're gonna have to elaborate.
okay. So I started watching, high CPU usage detected. Yep, I know. That's why I keep saying, like, I think it's Chrome and not, I mean, my internet plays a portion in this, but, like, my fans
Yeah.
be spinning up hard.
I don't think it's Chrome. It's probably the fact that you're capturing video and transmitting it across the internet.
Yeah, maybe.
Because video capture is CPU intensive. But anyway, continue.
Yeah, it's wigging out. So Avatar: The Last Airbender is a show I want to give 100% of my attention to when I watch it. I'm going to savor every little detail. Like, I want to be fully immersed in it. I really like the world. I'm on, I think I finished season 2. I don't remember. I'm midway through season 2. Then I stopped for a lot of personal reasons and life got hectic for stuff. And like, I haven't just like gone back and thrown it on because my mind has been too chaotic and I want to have the right environment to watch it. And like, watch multiple in a row. This is the type of show where it's like, yeah, I don't, for our purposes, I'm not leaving it on in the background, but I'd be fine like I did with Agretzko, and I watched all of Agretzko season 3 or 4, whatever the latest season was, in an evening. I was kind of playing Hearthstone and kind of watching and listening. So like I put it more in that category where it's like, it's not quite background noise, but it's cute, it's enjoyable, I can pick up the high levels of it, great. Does that make sense?
It makes sense. It does
It's not
answer my question,
demanding,
but it makes sense.
it's not demanding of like all of my senses to really watch it.
Okay.
What?
I mean, it just says, from my perspective, says a lot about you as a person. Where you're like, I can watch a show while playing Hearthstone. And I'm like, I get what you're saying. Like, you feel like you don't need to watch most of what's happening in the show, and like that's fine. But also, you're not watching. Whatever. Anyway, yeah.
There's
I get
certain
what you're
media
saying.
that like you need to like really be leaned in and invested and like I'm doing it with some of this. Like I really got into the glasses and spending time thinking about it and pausing it and taking shots and stuff. But that's also because I'm coming from I'm trying to learn about like approaching this as a student of the genre.
Sure. No, I get it. Like, so like I understand what you mean, that there's some shows as well as some activities that I'm like, I don't want to do this until I feel like I'm in like a certain state of mind that I can fully enjoy and pay attention to it. A lot of my anime watching is frequently like during meals,
Yeah.
frankly.
Yeah.
That said, there's still a difference between like me watching something during a meal and like maybe looking away periodically versus me like playing another game and it like being on in the background. Like,
So
those
I
for
should
me
say
are
there's
different.
there's only 2 games I can really do that with, Tetris and Hearthstone. Where I don't have to use a lot of brain power to function at the game. It's more just like a meditative state, and then I'm listening fully to the game.
Oh, okay.
Do you understand
that
what
makes
I'm
more
saying?
sense. Yes, but also it says something about your Hearthstone playing, but also you're playing Battlegrounds and not Hearthstone now, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, you were not making that clear. What? Battlegrounds and Tetris, sorry, and Hearthstone are different games. If you're playing Patron Warrior and also able to pay attention to something in the background, I'd be impressed. So, okay, going back to my initial question,
I would consider that the
would you
same
watch
as
more of the
eating.
show, regardless of like if we were not doing it in this format, is the show enough that you'd want to watch more of it?
Yeah, I'm curious enough to see where they end up.
Okay.
I'm
And
enough bought into the won't they to see it through. Knowing that
Okay.
it's short episodes and there's only like 10.
Yes. So that's why I agree with you. I think the next episode we should watch the rest of the season.
Yeah.
And then come back and talk about it. And then we'll pick our next show after that.
Yeah.
Or during that episode, maybe. Or maybe we'll do it off air. We can talk about that later.
Yeah.
But before we go to chat for questions, do you want to change any of your predictions for the show?
No. I still think
Okay.
that they at the end will just end up dating, and that I guess that they would kiss. I'm still standing by that.
Can you make me a mod so I can time out this troll? Oh, sorry, I'm kidding. All right.
Are you trying to pin Cat?
Yeah. Don't watch NHK next. It's or NHK in general, or trust cat opinions. Well, yeah. Okay, so actual questions from chat for people watching, unless we
Yeah, I
missed
kind of
something.
looked at chat tonight, but not too much. Obviously, there were points when I was like, no.
What, like the part where they were agreeing with me that the jump in cuts is fine, and you're like, but film school has taught me.
All right, but can you ban Paul? It's like Uzaki-Chan, but sad. I don't know. Is there any questions or things from chat? I know
They're not
JT.
saying anything.
JT has recommended or mentioned this one, and I assume it's an anime tech. Is it Tenchi
Tenchi Muyo?
Muyo?
I don't think I want to do Tenchi Muyo. It is so long.
Well, again, I think
I wouldn't even know. I haven't even really watched Tenchi Muyo other than like when it was on Toonami when I was a kid, which also means that I was watching it dubbed, and I never understood what was happening in the show.
then maybe there's some
we
shows.
can get into old classic anime
Yeah.
at some point, but initially we're not doing that.
And again, I liked Sean's suggestion that we don't need to watch full shows or seasons, that we just like watch, maybe we just start watching the first 5 of a bunch of different ones.
Oh, I mean, so what I was gonna say was next time we'll probably pick a show and watch. I'm still biased towards like 3 episodes and then see if we want to watch more. So me trying to get your distinction on whether or not you'd watch more of the show is, I think it's entirely appropriate that if neither of us or one of us aren't enjoying a show, that we don't watch more of the show.
Yeah, I can be on board for doing the first 3.
Yeah.
I still may discuss the pilot separately, but
Yeah, I mean, fine.
all right. So Nick
What
asked,
part over the last 2
yeah.
episodes made you go, okay, I want to see the rest of this?
Again, for me, it was I bought into them as characters and liking each other, and honestly, them talking about video games got to me and her taking care of him when he was sick. So like I bought into like this is cute, and I want to see more cute things happen between them.
Okay, that's the right mentality. I'm on board. You're learning.
So I feel like I should back up so I'm like the same size as you.
What? Do you want me to sit instead of stand?
No, we'll figure it out a different time.
Okay, here's a cue. Best and worst skits from this set of episodes.
Skits, so being like the different like things that they. How are we defining skit?
I don't know how I don't know if I would necessarily call them skits. I might just say scenes. I don't know really what the difference is between a skit or a scene, in your professional opinion.
I mean, I assume these are like scenes.
Well, wait, you can't drop film knowledge. What is a skit versus a scene?
I don't use the term skit. I think of like SNL and stand up and improv, which I guess is a sketch.
Yeah, that's a sketch. I know that. Now that you said the word. Sure, a scene and or sequence. What do you like and what do you not like?
So.
And I'm asking you first because I have no idea.
I thought it was cute when they were playing the video games together, when they were playing Catcraft, and there was like a cute montage of their faces and they were having fun. I also liked when she helped him with the cat and he like shared more about his background. I thought that was cute. What else? Those were the 2 standout for me that I like, because again it made me like the show more, so that I could like couch that against like her getting stuck in a bush and either her shirt or ass hanging out. Although I did find it funny when people came around the corner and saw what appeared to be him humping her. That actually was executed well.
That's a good joke. Let's see. If I had to do what didn't do it for me, I mean, we talked about the fan service, but I don't really think that counts as a scene. The glasses one didn't really do it for me because I think they're probably going for visual references, some of which I don't think I got.
I thought one of them was making him when he put the aviators on and he put his hand up in the air. I was like, is that a Queen reference?
Maybe, because you got it and I didn't. That's possible.
Yeah, I wrote that down because they made him go, "Ayo," and I was like, I think that's fucking Freddie Mercury reference.
Okay.
Yeah, that bush scene did go places.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. The bush scene is fan service, but at least it's funny. The like a shower one, I'm like, that's just there because it's there.
Yeah.
Meh. What stuff did I like though? What were the good scenes? I mean, I mostly like all of it. What stood out?
I mean, Nick, to answer your question about exaggerated anime expressions and stuff, I like when her eyes do the like gremlin diva, like, because I always like make that a lot with the carrots, and then they're called carrots, right?
Yeah, no, sorry. You're right.
And then I really liked when he turned black and white, and then like I thought those were pretty good.
I mean, those are moments, those aren't really scenes.
No, well, Nick asked a different question.
Oh, what was Nick's question? You didn't state the question first.
I said...
Oh, favorite exaggerated anime expression. Okay.
Cat, no. I don't watch anything with my parents.
Would you watch this anime with your parents?
I think it's a hot no from both of us.
Like story time, there was like a point in time when I was but a wee child, so I guess we're talking about a teenager, when like I don't know if it was my mom or my sister, like bless their soul, I guess, for having a moment of like, I'll take an interest in what my Paul is doing. But it was like Dragon Ball Z, and they sat down and like, so what's happening in the show? Explain it to me. And I was like, I don't even know where to begin, because like this is an episodic show, and I was also younger, and I'm like, like leave me alone, mom. I was like, no. But what I watched is my parents. I don't care if they wanted to watch it. Fine, I guess. Like, I don't think they'd want to watch it though. That's the thing. It's subbed, so like on the plus side, I don't have to worry about like my mom talking over things because I can just read the subtitles. It's got that going for it, so it's pretty nice.
What non-anime show does this most remind you of?
None.
I mean, you'd have to cut so much stuff. Like, okay, awkward boy meets girl, and they are different and awkward. I mean, insert half a dozen rom-coms, because that's just typical formula.
No.
What do you mean, no?
Give me an example.
About a boy, Parts of Love Actually, like half a dozen with Hugh Grant in them,
I'm just watching the wrong ones.
Yeah, there's like a very specific part of the late 90s and early aughts that had these awkward, quirky rom-coms.
That's not what I'm taking offense to, though. Like, every rom-com I've ever seen has, like, this contentiousness of the guy has to be, like... First of all, the guy's always generally the aggressor. He's kind of, like, a goofy dick. And then, like, the girl's sort of not into him, and he has to, like, win her affection, and he'll do some, like, stupid thing that, like, offends her, and he'll have a moment of, like, oh, I did a thing, and I have to change, and then sort of changes, but not really. Like, it's very different to me.
That sounds like the movie Can't Buy Me Love. John Hughes movies from the 80s?
Rom-coms in general, not like... I'm very confused right now.
Oh, I thought you were saying that was like specific to anime. I'm like, that's John Hughes,
No,
like,
that was me talking about rom-coms and how like they have this formula.
yeah.
Like the way romance is portrayed in rom-coms and like American television is very different to this, in my opinion.
All right. I need to
Are,
use
are
the ladies'
we moving
room.
on? Are we done?
So
Oh,
we can
okay.
either pause and I can go take my meds and use the restroom, or we can wrap up for tonight. And we can also take it to the after party chat.
We could do that, I guess. I don't know. I'm confused what chat's doing right now.
I think they're all very also upset about my loud ass laptop.
Okay. Sounds like we're donezo.
Um, we don't have to be. I just really need to go to the bathroom. This feels like a good wrap up spot.
Good round. That's fine. Okay, yeah, sure.
All right, so there's
When are
episodes
we
5
meeting
through
next?
10. Well, next Friday is my
I mean, the
birthday.
rest of the show. Are there only 10 episodes? There's 12.
Okay. So I can get through those. I could do
If you want to
next.
skip episode 10, you can. I'll tell you that in advance.
No, I will watch
I think
it.
it's 10. Okay, fine.
We could do next Saturday. If
Sure.
that works.
It probably works. I think I have D&D on Saturday, but also they might not want to do it on that Saturday. But
Well, next Thanksgiving is on Thursday. Friday is my birthday.
oh, happy birthday.
Oh, thank you. No offense, I don't want to record this on my birthday. I want to
Yeah, no, we
organize other
shouldn't.
fun
That
things.
totally makes sense.
So I'm fine with Saturday or Sunday.
Okay.
But Saturday.
Tentatively, let's say Saturday.
Okay.
And we'll watch the rest of the show and we'll do a wrap up. And in the meantime, we'll determine ahead of time how we're picking our next show.
And I
Which
should
is
be
going
back
to be a complicated topic.
on my normal
You'll set
setup.
up to do good streaming.
Yeah.